Hughes. I'm the founder and CEO of a Scottish company called Novosound. We started 7 years ago, so order of magnitude younger than the achievement that we're celebrating today. But we were the first spin-out company to come out of the University of Western Scotland over in Paisley. And my journey in ultrasound started 19 years ago when I was recruited as a research fellow at the university. So even before that, I was a PhD student at the University of Paisley, as it was known there, in their ultrasound department. And that was when I first got introduced to ultrasound, and at that time I knew from the hospital, obviously the baby imaging or the sometimes sports science injuries. But when I walked into that room for the first time, it had lots of little boxes of metal with single metal tubular probes, and it was all very ultrasound for industry, and I had no idea at all that ultrasound was used in industry, because at that point I was maybe 22 years old or so. I knew from hospitals, my dad, my family were all medical, did not know about the industrial uses of ultrasound. Did not know about the industrial uses, but then the more you dig into it, the more you do your PhD and learn about ultrasound, it started in industry. Babcock Wilcox making boilers, all this metal work needed to know is the integrity of the metal correct or not, and you use sound waves for that, bouncing sound into these metal plates, listening for the echoes and building up images of stress, cracks, erosion, corrosion, etc. And then you get, where does it go from there? We obviously have a huge history of shipbuilding on the Clyde, and the ultrasound facilitated some of the greatest ships that were made and the boilers. And then you get somebody like Ian Donald, as Jim said, where do these flights of fancy take you? Where he, as a gynaecologist at Rotten Row, University of Glasgow, decides, can we use this sound wave technique that's on metal to look at squidgy things inside squidgy things, like babies inside humans, or illnesses inside female bodies, etc. And there you get a little spark of intrigue. He works out, he has a pal that works here. Some of his colleagues may actually be here today. I've heard that there's people who are contemporary with it. Comes down, perhaps walks through these doors and says, with this bag of meat from the butcher's, maybe bought at Valentine's up the road, I don't know. Let's just say it was. Let's try and make this as much about Renfrew as we can. So he walked into Valentine's, he got his bag of meat, and he came down here to the inspection tanks, put it in, sent the sound waves through, and saw little wiggles on a little cathode ray screen. No flat panels back then, little cathode ray. And from that, you've got, yes, you can use ultrasound to look inside bodies, you can look at cysts and uterine cysts, etc. And from then, there isn't a person alive today, I don't think, who will not have had an ultrasound scan, either of their mothers before they were born, or indeed as people go to the hospital to look at their kidneys, or they look at their knees, or anything. Ultrasound as an imaging technology is maybe not as sexy as MRI, because the pictures aren't good, but MRI was also invented in Scotland. They had it in Aberdeen, and if you look at the lists of inventions from Scotland, MRI is always there, next to telephones, televisions, penicillin. With this plaque, I kind of hope that we can put Renfrew there, so when people think about medical ultrasound, think that's a Scottish invention. Let's add it to the list and make sure that Renfrew is always listed alongside it. And I think, as Jim said, about the idea of a plaque isn't just a vanity project, it's about marking a time in history, all the parts that come up to that moment in time, and what comes next. And at Novosound, we started, as I said, in Paisley, University of Western Scotland, looking at industrial ultrasound. We were built as a company to do erosion, corrosion monitoring, and now we do medical. We're taking it not from where Ian Donald took it to the imaging of the body, we're doing it to make it into smartwatches, into wearables. The next revolution of ultrasound is hopefully coming again. Somebody who lives in Renfrew, yeah, we're based in Motherwell, but things could change. And basically we're trying to take it from where the industrial stuff started on the banks of the Clyde to where Ian Donald took it to medical imaging. We're taking it to the next frontier, wearable ultrasound. Maybe not hold off the rain too much more, we'll unveil this plaque. You can read it, and as I said, Ian Donald is a phenomenally exciting, long history career, sadly not with us. There will be a QR code on this, linked to a fairly permanent website, I hope, that you can read all about what Ian Donald has done, not only for ultrasound itself, but just as a career, a proper life well lived.
Yay, well done.